It is the 21st of March. Welcome to another episode of The Y Factor. It has been a tumultuous day in Australian politics over the last, I'd say, 8 hours. But joining me in the studio is guest presenter Masin Karim. Assalamu alaikum, Masin, and welcome.
Alaikum salam, Mohammad.
How are you?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's very exciting to be here.
Pleasure to meet you. We actually met over a fantastic coffee experience. It was pretty interesting.
It was an experience on many levels. I don't know how to quite describe that coffee. Maybe we'll get onto it. Yeah. Or bring it up one day in this show.
We will. I mean, tell us a bit about yourself. We met over coffee in Bankstown, in Parramatta, near where you work, and we had a discussion about some of your broadcast, your broadcast plans, inshallah. And we said, you know what, let's give Masin a shot. You're cool. You have poise. You're well spoken. You sound good on radio. Tell us a bit about what you do.
Mohammad, I moved here about 15 months ago from Dubai. Before Dubai, I was there for about 6 years. Before Dubai, I was in London. Before London, I was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Wow.
Before that, I was in UK and Saudi. So I think one of the most definitive things about me is I've been around, somewhat of a contemporary Bedouin, you could say. My mother's English. My father is from Iraq, ethnic, so mixed ethnic background. And I'm very happy to be in Sydney. I'm loving it. I'm very happy to meet the community and individuals like yourself. Thank you.
That's fantastic to hear. Well, look, we're honoured to have you on the program and happy to have you on the program co-hosting for today. We have a pretty exciting episode planned for today, don't we?
Quite a lot has gone on in the news. We have some very interesting people coming in, very passionate people, and we hope we can learn a lot.
Absolutely. So we are talking to pretty soon in the next 10 minutes or so. Rohingya activists Mohamed, Anwar and Harun Rasheed in relation to the latest visit by the Myanmar President Sein, I think that's how you pronounce his name, when he came to Australia. We're also talking to a young university student who decided to shave his funky hairdo for charity. That's a pretty interesting story. We'll chat to him soon. And also Carol Ireland, who's the CEO of Epilepsy Action Australia, to talk about going purple for epilepsy awareness. That'll be later on in the program towards the end. But firstly, let's kick off with the news. I mean, even at work, I'm pretty sure you heard about the tumultuous day in Australian politics today.
Yeah, well, we say it's full of action, but in reality, it wasn't. What I heard was it took 15 minutes. And I'm not so fluent with the Sydney or Australian politics, so maybe you can give the listeners a breakdown.
I think you summed it up, Masin. It was a bit of an anticlimax. So Simon Crean, a member of the Labor Party, the Federal Labor Party, came out and said, we're going to have a leadership challenge today. We're going to go to a vote. 100 Labor members are going to sit in this private meeting, and I want Kevin Rudd, who was ex-Prime Minister, to push for Prime Ministership. And he wanted to challenge for Deputy Prime Minister. So he wanted Kevin Rudd to be top dog to replace Julia Gillard, and Simon Cream to come in and replace Wayne Swan as deputy leader. And it was a lot of hype and excitement. I was in the car, talkback radio was going off. There was live crosses from Sydney media outlets to Canberra. What's happening?
It just sounds like show business. I just feel like there was this big fight, which was where everyone got their hopes up. Yeah. Got to ringside, and the guy just handed over the belt. The guy didn't hand over. He said, "I'm not going to challenge." Yeah, that's what it felt like.
That's right. Everyone's like, okay, when Rudd challenges, let's see if he wins. People were actually predicting. A lady called in on talkback radio and started crying, saying, all the world and the media has been attacking Julia Gillard because she's a female, the first female, PM in the country, and this is just, worse. This is disrespectful. She was actually crying on talkback radio, and people were calling in and saying, "Yeah, I expect Kevin to win, Mr. Rudd to win." Such an anticlimax.
People's hearts really got involved here. On that level.
And it's interesting. I mean, you mentioned how it is a bit theatre-like. I think in Western democracies like Australia, we're becoming very similar to the US in that a lot of our elections, the presidential election here, our prime ministership election, is very theatrical. They use the leader as the brand. I mean, this is right down your alley in terms of your work. But it's, the leaders become the brand, and it's becoming increasingly common in Western democracies to pitch the leader as the brand of the party. Well,
I'm sure, of course, they didn't have to before. I have to, it's gone from my mind now, but there was an ex-president of the US who was actually in a wheelchair. What was his name? Do you remember? He was ignorant as I am, or forgetful.
I know how he looks like.
I can't believe I forgot his name.
You've been in America. You should know this.
I'm putting such dishonor to my years I spent there. And I think there was just a movie about him, actually. Okay, but let's move on. They said he could never have won if we had the politics which we had today. No one would ever elect someone in a wheelchair if they could actually see him on TV. Now, you have politicians who have to compete with Hollywood, essentially. You know, we expect them to be as cool, as dramatic, as funny, and to be on TV and be able to react to like a Hollywood star. And if they don't, they're just going to lose to the likes of Ronald Reagan. I think that's a big wake-up call.
It is.
Ronald Reagan, ex-Hollywood star, becomes president. And that's when the politicians said, wait a minute, we got to be Hollywood now.
This is pretty common in the States. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger, action
Look at him,
hero, becomes the governor for, California.
Yeah.
Is it what you're sort of talking about, the concept of the Obama factor? Is that the whole, the wow factor, the X factor, the hope factor?
I think... I think he was great. Someone described him as like Macintosh, and Clinton is like a PC. And that Macintosh has this awesome marketing and image, and is just image to perfection. I think that's what he brought. That's what summed it up. But I think every year they've just got to, or every election, excuse me, they just got to get more and more, showbiz-like. At the same time, they have to do the political job. I mean, it's so much more difficult than showbiz. Showbiz, you just go and you do your act and you leave. These guys actually supposed to produce some results at the end of the day.
They kind of run the country,
Yeah, we're forgetting that bit, aren't we?
We do. We tend to forget that. And it's interesting. Well, to wrap up, today's turbulent political day in federal politics, Miss Gillard came out. There was a press conference held, and Tony Abbott held a press conference on behalf of the Libs a bit later on. But Gillard came out saying, and I quote, this has come to completely an end to all the ruckus and talk behind the scenes. So basically, there was no challenge to the leadership spill. It went for about 5 to 6 hours, and barely 10 minutes before the caucus meeting, Kevin Rudd came out and saying he would honour his word and not challenge and stand against Ms Gillard. Opposition leader Tony Abbott said the leadership question is far from resolved and has called for an early election now, earlier than September.
It's like saying it's on.
Absolutely.
It's going down. But I almost see it as, I don't know too much about the background, I must admit. I'm sorry. However, I see it as almost honorable. I mean, settle the differences. Someone's got to back down, right? And I almost feel like, wow, that's not easy. As an ex-president, I mean, I don't. The only thing I know is that I was here on Business 3 about 3 years ago, and all I see on TV was Kevin Rudd being, politically assassinated, and suddenly Gillard comes on the scene. That's all I knew, because I was just here from Dubai, and that's the background I know. And that's not easy to come back and say, you know what, go ahead, take it. It's yours, and I'm moving on, maybe to win his eyes, maybe bigger, or things he wants to move on to. It's almost honorable. From what I can see, but like I said, I don't know the background.
I think a lot of people would echo your sentiments about honour and Kevin Rudd. I certainly would prefer to see Kevin Rudd as opposed to Julia Gillard, but that's a whole other topic.
Anyway.
Look, we're going to go to a break, inshallah, and be right back. After the break, we are chatting to...
we have here Mohamed Anwar and Harun Rasheed, two esteemed guests, and I think they're going to add a lot of value to this show.
Absolutely. They'll be talking about Rohingya and the latest on Myanmar. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
Mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way, and he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah. O mountains of Mecca, what can you tell of the day that stones from the sky fell, destroying an army determined to break the house of Allah that Abraham built? O mountains of Mecca, how was the dawn on the day that my prophet Mohammad was born? How did it feel knowing he was to be the last and most beloved of all? Rasul of Allah, Nabi of Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca, you were there when the Prophet Mohammad climbed down in despair. Engraved in his heart were the words of his Lord. To all of mankind this was his call. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Oh, people pray.
This is Omar Regan, and you're listening to Y Factor.
The Y Factor, an amazing radio station. If you're not listening to the Y Factor, you're probably not doing much.
I think the likes of Alan Jones and Ray Hadley are sort of keeping a close eye on you guys.
This is the segment to listen to. There's nothing better than this. It beats anything else.
Yeah, man, if you don't listen to the Y Factor, you are a bloody fool.
Y Factor Radio, the best radio station in Australia.
The what?
So what did you think of that, Masin? Was that not cool?
So, oh, that was awesome. That was more cool than cool itself. You know, definitely. Who's the American guy? That guy stood out.
There's a fair few. We have Omar Regan, the former stunt double of Chris Tucker and Rush Hour.
I saw that guy. Yeah.
Mohammad from Canada. People mistake
Awesome
his Canadian
guy.
accent for American.
Oh, Canadians hate that.
Yeah, so you would be aware of that. Moving on to a bit more of a serious topic now. I'm sure many of our listeners are aware of what's happening in Burma, in particular in Myanmar. Cosmic catastrophe every day in terms of the innocent Muslims who are being killed by Burmese fighters, essentially driving people out of their homes, burning down towns and villages. You would probably remember last year in Ramadan we had an iftar at Flame Steakhouse in Bankstown, and we invited members of the Burmese Rohingya community in Australia and raised good funds, and they told their story, and there's a lot of heartbreaking stories on the night. We actually have them back in today because there's been a recent development. So first I'd like to welcome Mohamed, Anwar and Harun Rasheed. Assalamu alaikum, brothers, and welcome to the program.
Walaikum assalam, brothers. Thank you very much for inviting us today.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
So you're obviously from the Burmese Rohingya community in Australia. What's developed so far since we spoke to you guys last year in Ramadan?
Yeah, since last year Ramadan, that was the first breakout in Rakhine State, and after that we were hoping to get it better because of the OIC involvement, Turkey involvement, and a lot of Muslim countries involvement, but it get worse. So there was another second breakout in October 2012, and in that one a lot of cities were villages, Muslim towns were burned down, and people were forced to live in the mud camps and refugee camps. So still today they were not able to return to their home back, and all of them are living, and most of them are suffering. That's why people are trying to flee from Rakhine State, Burma. And maybe you heard already the news that people get drawn in the sea while fleeing. Yes.
So in the process of fleeing the carnage, they die from the ship sinking or the boat sinking.
Yes.
Yes, they are on the way to Bangladesh to save their life. So while they are going to the Bangladesh, a lot of boats are drawn away.
Okay, and tell me, what is this trip entail? I mean, how long is the distance from
probably 45 minutes.
45 minutes in a normal boat. So it's not actually that much of an epic journey. So what type of boats are they on? Is that the problem? What's the problem with going?
What happened is people are trying to flee initially to Bangladesh when the first breakout happened, but Bangladesh turned away. So that's why people are not able to go to Bangladesh. They try to flee to Malaysia.
They wouldn't let them on the shore. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's why they are trying to flee to Malaysia, and some are trying to come to Australia even.
And are the Malaysians allowing them in?
Malaysia is somehow allowing, but because to come to Malaysia they have to cross the Thailand and
those borders.
Sri Lanka borders and things. It's a long journey, like some people's like the other one, it was 25 days they were in the sea.
So there's a lot of international politics here, and civilians, people who have been persecuted and some seeing the worst days of their life are actually seeing worse days and what
the worst ever we are seeing.
And you have to forgive me, do we mind taking us back a little bit, like a very, very quick brief history? Why is this happening?
because of the Rohingyas have been living in that area for centuries, for many years ago, but their religion is Islam. That's one of the reasons we have been persecuted. And in Rakhine State, we were like 40% to 60%. 40% was the Muslims community and 60% is Buddhist community. But the central government is the Buddhist country. It is a Buddhist country, and since they got the independence from the British government, they wanted to create a Buddhist country. They want to change the whole religion to Buddhism. They wanted to make even the Buddhism as a national religion, so Muslim should not be allowed to live in that country. And in Rakhine State, Muslim is the one that is the majority in Burma.
And they're denied citizenship as well, right?
Yes.
1982, they denied the citizen.
So they literally, they have no sense of recognized identity, pretty much.
No, there's only a white card that's called, foreigners, temporary residents.
Like a temporary resident, we're living there as our own land. We're living as a temporary resident from 1992. From 1992.
Wow. And you were just talking to us off air earlier about the recent development of violence. Was it last night? What happened?
It happens last night. Actually, before this one, there were plenty of hate speech and leaflets distributed among the Buddhist extremists. That one is organized by some Buddhist extremists, including monks, and he has been openly giving hate speech in small cities like yesterday's one. Just a week ago, what happened was there was a Turkey, war cemetery.
Yep.
And because that is a Muslim cemetery, they don't want any Muslims area in that one. They were protecting it, and they were giving a lot of wrong speech, different ideas to people's. That's something like Turkey is trying to create.
Even the dead.
Okay.
Yeah. So Turkey is trying to influence to Burma, maybe to create a Islamic country.
So they're really trying to almost wipe out any type of Islamic historical identity or any type of they don't want anyone to associate them.
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with Islam? And has this always gone on for the last centuries? Is this something new?
For last centuries, there were military government, and military is actually that government is the one who is playing all the time the tricks.
So you said it's always been a military country?
Yes, since 1982.
Since 1982, it was a military country, and that's when you said they changed their name. Yeah, so they actually changed the name of the country.
They changed in 1990.
In 1990, they changed the name. So we also might be talking. Some people will know it as Myanmar, and some people just remember it as Burma.
Yeah, but
so you prefer to say Burma. I've noticed that. So because you don't want to almost recognize, what the military has done.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the one the military we are suffering.
And I mean, on Tuesday, the president of Myanmar, Thein Sein, visited Julia Gillard, our PM here in Canberra, and you guys were protesting. What happened?
We were trying to encourage the Australian government actually to give effective pressure on Burma President Thein Sein, but it happens oppositely. It happens completely opposite. They rewarded the President Thein Sein with $20 million for the development of Burma, and what happened last night? More than 50 Muslims has been killed, including the young kids and families, women, girls, and 8 mosques has been burned down last night alone.
Wow. 8 mosques.
Yes, and
the shops has been. There's a video came out. The shops has been breaking down by the mosques. The monks, they are in front of everything. They're breaking the tools and they're removing all the jewelries from the shops, and the video is already in the Facebook and YouTube already there.
So when I think, when we think of monks, we often think of people who are very, very peaceful in monastery or something. But these are proper militant monks. That's what you're saying.
They are already in the video.
There are some monks, actually the real monks are okay.
Yeah.
But these are the monks from at the background. The military is there. They change their. They shave their head and they become monks to do propaganda for the military government.
So what we're saying is they didn't turn to the monastery for sincere reasons.
They're spreading that don't buy anything from the Muslim shops.
Wow.
Don't buy anything.
Boycotting anything Islamic related.
Everything. In the Yangon, they're saying any shops nearby, if you have to walk 5 minutes, go walk 5 minutes and buy from the mosque shops. Don't buy from anything. Don't deal with anything. There is openly stating that it's a totally human right violation.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very grave situation. But before we finish, what do you guys plan to do, and how can our listeners help?
Because Australia can do a lot actually. Australia has a lot of potential. They can give pressure on Burmese government. So since last night, what is happening is it's going to be happened also in another cities, because it's spreading slowly, and they have been distributing these things for 3 or 4 days. They have already said plan. I got an email already from one of the activists from UK, Jamila Hanan. Her name is she's a human rights activist.
Yep.
She sent everyone to the mail that they got information that they're gonna start these things starting from 18. So today is 21st, and they started from 20. This is one city, and all of the Muslims are gone from that city now.
Wow.
So because they are not allowed to come back, if they come back, they will be killed. And they're gonna start doing also another city slowly.
Yeah.
And we are really afraid and worried for our family and for our Muslim brothers and sisters in small cities.
So what you're saying is this isn't just some random thing which was sparked off by a couple of guys fighting in the street and then it got bigger. You're saying this is very calculated and very strategic. This is very systematic and strategic. Essentially, what they're trying to do is just completely clear out.
There's a lot of political games as well.
So what's the way forward? How can people get hold of you? What's the website? You guys on Twitter, Facebook? I mean, how do people keep hearing about this so they don't just switch off the radio today and forget it?
There's news websites, Rohingya Blogger.
Rohingya Blogger. Can we get that on our page?
And also MyanmarMuslims.net.
Great. Okay.
That is in Burmese, but the Rohingya Blogger is in English, and also Mayu Press.
Okay.
That is MAYUPRESS.net.
Cool.
In there we are posting all of the news information, but currently it is shut down from inside, but we are getting the news on the phone. And by tomorrow we'll be getting more information, but we need to focus on that one as quick as possible, as soon as possible, writing to the Australian government or wherever we can reach human rights activists or United Nations, wherever we have to send all this information news to the higher level. By the way, because what happened was, it happened just only in 4 hours. They announced the curfew at 9 o'clock and start doing all of the things as if in Rakhine State they did the same thing. In Rakhine State, they announced first the curfew at night, the mob gathered and start attacking. And last night also it did happen the same thing.
Well, look, we really appreciate your time today, and as we mentioned last Ramadan when we had you guys and we tried to raise money to do our bit, we're happy to have you come back on and update us on the latest developments, and we hope, may Allah have mercy on the people of Rohingya and end the violence and conflict and the innocent lives that have been lost. Brother Mohamed and Harun, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much also.
Thank you. Thanks for
no worries.
Thank you.
Now, that was, pretty full on, wasn't it, Masin?
Mohamed, it's easy to forget in our little corner of utopia almost here in Sydney in Australia. This is just around the corner. These people have lives, they have feelings, and it's horrific. It's horrific, and maybe even more horrific that we sit back and do nothing.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder for us all, and inshallah we're going to post those links that Mohamed and Harun mentioned on our Facebook page.
Excellent.
After the break, a bit more of a light-hearted topic. We're going to chat to a young brother who shaved his funky hairdo for charity. You're listening to the Y Factor on 87.6. Don't go anywhere.
See your life, so much pain, warring divides, it's a shame. We don't see how it can be. Oh, we need to smile at each other, wish for your brother, help one another. All we need is love. Oh, we need to honor our mother, shelter our sisters, all to existence. God's help will come from above, but first we need the love. All the games people playing now, fuel the flames. Hatred devours, let's spark a change that's within all of us. Oh, we need to smile at each other, reach for your brother, help one another. help will come from up above. But first we need the love. I am in the birds, I am in the trees, from the brown branches to the green leaves. I'm colorful, spectrum infinite, I touch all, indiscriminate. Breed compassion and sentiment, limitless in my power to heal the hearts of men. But they're so forgetful, that's why I remind on the instrumentals. This life is a trial, can never let the test affect your smile. Reach for your brother, go the extra mile. Kiss for your mother, hug your sister, let your wife know that you miss her. Know that you can never give up, when you fall to the floor, I'm the reason you must get up. Love, I'm a blessing from God, so why you don't use me more? It's so odd. You need love, we need love. Love is all we need. Love is all we need. All we need is love is all we need. Love is all we need. All we need is love is all we need. Love is all we need. All we need to smile at each other, reach for your brother, help one another. All we need is love. Smile at each other, reach for your brother, help one another. All we need is love. All we need is honor our mother, shelter our sisters, alter our existence. God's help will come from above. But first we need the love.
This is Amir Suleiman on the Y Factor 87.6 FM. Stay tuned, keep it locked, don't ever change from the channel ever.
Hi.
Assalamu alaikum, Sydney. Welcome back. Mohamed and Mohsen here on the Y Factor. There is no other place to be this time of day. Mohamed, you introducing our next guest?
Absolutely. So we are talking to Jamal Waridah. Jamal Waridah is a university student majoring in psychology. He's got a fascinating story. He recently gave up his hair, his funky hairdo for a good cause, and he raised, some good money for the Leukaemia Foundation. Instead of us talking about him, let's hear more from Jamal, inshallah. So I'll get Jamal on the line. Give me 1 sec. And Jamal should be... Hello, Jamal. Can you hear me?
Hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Very good. So tell us a bit about what you did.
Okay. Well, it's very simple. I've got a bit of a love. I've had a bit of a love affair with my hair my entire life, I think. I'm quite short. I've got a pretty small head, and I've got ears that poke out, and a big levo nose, just to paint a picture for everyone. So, shaving my head has always been an issue for me. Because in my opinion, I look like some sort of shaved bird. But what's happened was I built up the courage to shave my head for the Leukaemia Foundation. I managed to raise approximately $1,000, and ongoing, still got donations coming through.
Excellent.
And managed to raise it through Facebook and just donations from friends and family and all the rest of it. So it's a very good cause. I'm very proud of what I've done.
Excellent. Now tell us, why in the support of leukemia do people shave their heads? What's the significance of that?
Well, it just, us, as you can imagine, we can't ever, put ourselves in their shoes. They do go through such a hard time. Most of these cancer-ridden people are children, and this Leukaemia Foundation is a wonderful organisation that focuses completely on research for blood cancer and trying to find a cure for cancer. And the reason why people shave their heads is to, like I said, we can't completely put ourselves in their shoes, but we can shave our heads and get just a tiny bit of a feel of what they go through by when they put themselves under chemo and when they lose their hair. And I mean, as you can imagine,
especially for a young child, you're saying most of these patients are actually children, and for a grown man to be bald, it's not something which is rare to see on the street. For a child, that's his youth right there. It's very clear to people that there's something wrong.
Yes, that's right.
And I remember that my first introduction was in high school. It wasn't actually my high school. It was in the States, a friend's high school. And one of the children, he was a teenager at the time, was diagnosed with leukemia. And the whole student body, of his class at least, every single guy shaved his head. So he didn't look different from anyone. And I thought that was amazing. And that's very similar to what you guys are doing today.
That's right, yeah. And as you can imagine, it's not only the hair on their heads that they lose, it's also eyebrows and pretty much every hair on their body. So, you know, this little sacrifice of breaking my love affair with my hair. I mean, for listeners out there, to describe my hairstyle, I had it, you know, shaved around the sides, but the top of my head was quite long, and I used to brush it over to the sides, so sort of a comb over that. You know, it hung over the side of my head for just to
I can vouch for that, Jamal. I actually had a look at some of your Facebook photos. If I can call you were a pretty boy with your hair. It was metrosexual in the way it was styled, and I found it very impressive for a young man such as yourself to let go of that. And as you said, it's a small sacrifice, but I'm looking at the website now. $13 million was raised for the Leukaemia Foundation during the World's Greatest Shave, and you contributed $1,000 to that. I'm interested, how did you raise that $1,000?
Well, like I said, I raised it mostly through Facebook. You know, I had a wonderful response from Facebook. My original plan, unfortunately, was to raise $5,000, which was my plan. The plan that I put together was to just get $10 from and you know, basically not being able to.
Jamal, are you there?
Seems that
I think we've lost him. Jamal, can you hear us? Yeah, I think we've lost. Jamal, are you there?
Yes, I can.
Sorry, yeah, we just lost you for a second. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. So tell me, this is just yourself. Is this a worldwide thing? Are people doing this all across the world? Is it become coordinated like that now?
Hello,
can you hear me?
No, unfortunately, you're breaking up.
Yeah, should we try and give you another call? Should we try and reconnect?
It's okay. I mean, Jamal, look, before we wrap up, what would you encourage other young people to do? Let go of the gel and the muck and just shave it off. I mean, they can't do it this year, obviously, but for next year, would you encourage them to get involved with these sort of charities?
Of course I will. I mean, even with my love affair with my hair, you know, I usually feel liberated. It kind of frees you from having to get up in the morning and do your hair before you leave the house. So it's really a positive in a way. So
excellent, Jamal. We're gonna have to move on, partly because maybe it's not so clear for the listeners. But what we're gonna be sure of is to post on our Facebook ways people can get involved, hear about you, what you're doing, the organization, World's Greatest Shave, and also what can people do if they don't want to shave their hair. And there must be things that people can do. So we're gonna move on and we'll make sure everybody hears about that on that page.
Great.
Thank you very much, Jamal.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, and we commend what you've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was a great discussion with Jamal there.
This is Amir Suleiman on the Y Factor 87.6 FM. Stay tuned, keep it locked, don't ever change from the channel ever.
Sorry, that was a bit of a mix-up with the sting there, but yeah, that was what a champion at such a young age to have the courage.
Yeah, how old is he? I didn't get that.
It was in his 20s, early 20s, I believe.
Early 20s, so that's a time when he's probably looking to get married or something and look impressive, but he impressed them in a completely different way. You know?
Absolutely, so, that was very impressive from a young man. At university, as you were saying, it's a good point about shaving your hair. You don't really notice it. I mean, young people, this is a good reminder. It's a good reminder that, like you said, the people who go through this is just one part. If it was just losing their hair, that wouldn't be so good. But it's far worse than that. It's far worse. This is money to encourage for research to hopefully one day us as a world can move on from this disease. And that's really what this drive is for, and that's just a way to raise awareness, really. Absolutely. Well, look, we're going to go to a short break and be right back. We've had a few breaks, but we're going to encourage our listeners to go purple, and we'll explain why. It's got to do with awareness and epilepsy. But stay tuned, don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Y Factor. It's Mohamed and Masin on the mic. We're going to chat to a member of the Epilepsy Action group. Well, I just lost the title. Sorry, it was the CEO of Epilepsy Action Australia, Carol Island. Right after the break, you'll listen to the Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
Mountains of Mecca, what can you say of the day that Abraham passed your way? And he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people will pray, and they will come on every lean camel and out of every ravine for the purpose of praising Allah, to glorify Allah. Oh, mountains of Mecca, what can you tell of the day that stones from the sky fell, destroying an army determined to break the house of Allah that Abraham built? Oh, mountains of Mecca, how was the dawn on the day that my prophet Mohammad was born? How did it feel knowing he was to be the last and most beloved of all, Rasul of Allah, Nabi of Allah? Oh, mountains of Mecca, you were there when the Prophet Mohammed climbed down in despair. Engraved in his heart were the words of his Lord to all of mankind. This was his call: La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Oh, people, praise only Allah, glorify Allah. Mountains of Mecca, how did you mourn on the day that the beloved returned to his Lord? And up till the last breath escaped from his lips, he prayed that his ummah would find success. Oh, mountains of Mecca, how will it feel when the earth shall quake and tremble with fear, and we shall be gathered together to stand in the court of Allah with our deeds at hand. Oh, how we pray that on that day we'll be with those to whom Allah will say, peace be with you, I am pleased with you. Oh, mountains of Mecca, bear witness that to the oneness of Allah do I testify. For all that He's given me, how can I deny? My purpose in life should be only to cry, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is His messenger. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is no God but Allah, Muhammad is His messenger.
Hi everyone, this is Shannon Taylor, WF World Middleweight Champion. You're listening to the Y Factor.
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum, Sydney. We're with Carol Island, of the CEO of Epilepsy Action Australia. Carol, are you with us?
Hello, Carol, are you there? Give us 1 sec. No? Yeah. Hello, Carol, are you there?
I certainly am.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
That's my pleasure.
Now, Carol, you're the CEO of Epilepsy Action Australia. Tell us a bit about what Epilepsy Action Australia is about.
Right. Well, we're an organisation that provides a lot of support and help to people that are affected by epilepsy, whether that be a very young child through to adults or even elderly people, because epilepsy, really can affect anyone at any time. So we provide support services. We have nurses who will teach people about how to give emergency medication, how to best manage their seizures. So a whole range of things we do, anything to really help somebody live as confidently as possible in the community.
So, Carol, Go Purple. What's the significance of Go Purple?
Go Purple.
Why not Go Orange or Go Green? Can you break that down?
Well, look, I mean, I like purple, but that's not the reason.
Well, you are the CEO, so you can maybe make that call, right?
There you go, there you go. Now, look, lavender is actually the international colour for epilepsy.
Lavender,
and not a lot of people know that. But how purple came about was back in 2008, a young girl in Canada called Cassidy Megan, who was at the time 9 years old and diagnosed with epilepsy, actually started Purple Day because she wanted to let people know about epilepsy. She wanted other people with epilepsy not to feel so alone. So it was a 9-year-old girl in Canada who started this off, and now it's actually gone worldwide.
What an amazing 9-year-old. I mean,
absolutely.
To do that. And not only did she do it, she did it while being diagnosed with epilepsy. I mean, you can easily sink into some type of depression, but often children are so much stronger than adults in that way.
Well, it's great initiative, isn't it? For somebody to actually do something, not for herself, but also for others.
Exactly, that's in Canada, and now we're all the way in Australia doing exactly the same thing. And you're right about those colours being significant, and everybody knows breast cancer is often pink. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. And this is the interesting thing. The World Health Organization says of epilepsy, there's probably no condition that's actually more neglected in terms of awareness and resources. And yet, in Australia alone, 800,000 odd people will get epilepsy in their lifetime.
Wow.
So it's not a small issue, but just not very well understood. So, if we could get Purple Day to one day be as big as, as the pink ribbon, wouldn't we be pleased with that?
And I think, as you mentioned, you touched on it, Carol, it's not an illness or a condition that is sort of, okay, I can expect when to have for example, my diabetes, installments and stuff like that. It's very unpredictable and often debilitating. So how do you sort of deal with people, or how do families deal with family members who have epilepsy?
Yeah, look, people can have a very, very rough time with epilepsy. I mean, there are so many different kinds of seizures. A lot of people that think they know about epilepsy really are talking about what we used to call a grand mal or a tonic-clonic seizure now, where someone falls to the ground and they're shaking and so on. But there are actually about 40 different kinds of seizures. And so depending upon the kind of seizure, and sometimes people can have more than one kind of seizure, as I said, families can have a really tough time. I mean, some people really get good control of their epilepsy with medication, but about 30% of people don't. And those people, young children and adults, can have, 20 seizures in a day, 30 seizures in a day.
And how can they not get good medication when they're gone through all that?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of research going on, and there are new medications coming out all the time. But actually finding the right medication or mix of medications that can control seizures is not that easy. There's still not a perfect answer for that.
Oh, okay, there's not one magic pill for everybody.
There isn't. There isn't. There are many different kinds of medications, and sometimes it takes quite a lot of years for, a neurologist to find the right mix that can help. And then, look, quite frankly, then sometimes the side effects are almost as bad as the seizures themselves, so it's a balancing act.
Wow. And I mean, let's talk about Purple Day, which is next Tuesday for 2013. How can people get involved? We're having a look at the site now right in front of us. You've got a tab for fundraising ideas. How can you encourage some of our listeners out there to get involved and really go purple?
Yeah, and it'd be great to have listeners, even at this late stage, get involved. So we say it's as simple as just putting on something purple for the day, but you can also get, T-shirts and things that actually talk about epilepsy awareness. But at this late stage, even a wear purple and do a fundraising collection. Some people make cupcakes, some people do morning teas. If people were to go to our website, we've actually got a range of ideas that are there, or even give us a phone call, and we can still help even though it's very last minute.
Excellent. And Epilepsy Action Australia, how long has that been about?
Oh, we had our 60th anniversary last year.
Congratulations. 60th. That is impressive. I thought you were going to say 6 years for a minute.
No, 60 years of serving the Australian population, so we're proud of that.
Very honourable, very honourable.
That's fantastic. And I mean, so the bare minimum we're going to expect our listeners, we have 2,000 members on Facebook, and we expect 2,000 people to be walking and going about their daily business next Tuesday wearing something that is coloured purple. How can they get involved aside from just wearing purple? Can they shoot off an email or contact the Epilepsy Action Australia group?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Look, you mentioned Facebook, and even to go on the Epilepsy Action Australia Facebook page, and we've actually got more than 12,000 members on there. We'd love to see some of your members have a peek at that and maybe like the page, and they'll see that everything's about purple at the moment. But they can also give us a call, 1300 374537.
Excellent. That's 1300 374537.
Or our website, epilepsy.org.au.
Excellent. We were going to have, I think we're definitely going to have all those links up on our Facebook page. So listeners, they know where to go after they hear this. They always should be hitting up the Facebook page and getting all those details that they didn't manage to scribble down in the car or wherever they're listening to this.
Well, we really appreciate your support of Purple Day and for talking to me. That's just fantastic, guys.
Not a problem. Thank you for your time, Carol. We really appreciate it, and we'll definitely, as Mason said, get those links up on our Facebook page. And, you know, go Purple for next Tuesday. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Go Purple.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
So go Purple, Masin. Are we going to wear purple or what?
I don't even know if I have anything purple.
You know, I've got a suggestion. It's a bit of a long shot, but you might be able to dye your beard purple.
Look, Mohamed, you grow a beard and do that, and maybe I'll follow you. No, I'm sure there's some type of temporary dye, something like that. But don't expect that on the Facebook page, guys. I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. But okay, you're definitely finding something to wear purple. You can always do that. That's the least we can do, and she said 800,000 people will be affected sometime in a population of 20 million.
Yeah.
That's a massive amount. That's not just insignificant.
Yeah, and if you have a look at their website, they are doing substantial things for the epilepsy community. I have a relative who suffers from epilepsy, and it's very random, and as we were talking about, unpredictable. We can just be out on a picnic on a Sunday, and it can hit him, and you can't hold him down, and you have to move things away from him.
Really?
Yeah, I can't, and that's just he's got a very, I guess, a very minor version of epilepsy. I can't imagine those who have higher levels of epilepsy tendencies, I guess.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that might be like, because it's so sporadic and random. You must be, continuously, this is residual worry that you're going to embarrass yourself, and I think that's what it comes down to. Is people don't want to be embarrassed.
Absolutely. Well, look, guys, as we spoke to Carol right there, go Purple next Tuesday, the 26th of March. It's officially Purple Day 2013. You questioned her on why it was purple, and I think she gave a good reason about lavender, right?
Yeah, lavender is the official. I guess we didn't have quite long enough to get down to that, but I'm sure that's something Sheikh Google can solve for us. Look up why lavender is the flower of epilepsy. I thought it's because maybe people had trouble breathing and they went purple, but that's how unfortunately so many of these conditions you don't know, and I think sadly there's part of the human which maybe doesn't care unless it happens to someone they love.
Absolutely.
And the idea is, we have to be aware of what's happening to other people, even if it's not personal to us, because the reality is it should be personal to us.
Absolutely.
So
let's
look that up.
It's a bit of it's sad, because that's the reality. It has to be someone who relates to us for it to hit home.
Yeah, for us to get active.
If you mention the topic of cancer, I'm sure there are listeners out there who have a family member or relative who's suffered or been on the receiving end of cancer.
Exactly.
But you never truly know unless you have someone experience it. But as you said, look at the Rohingya situation. Epilepsy. There are so many things that needs to be done, and the very least we can do is assist, even if it's just wearing a purple T-shirt or wearing a purple hat or a ribbon.
Yeah, awareness is not insignificant. It's not true. Awareness isn't insignificant. It is something, at least. And maybe you can't be involved in everything or give money to everything or be physically involved in anything. Awareness doesn't cost anything. How much does it cost to like a Facebook page?
You know, it costs nothing. So, you know, go for it.
Absolutely. Well, you have some interesting, bit of weird and wacky news.
Oh, weird and wacky. I don't know. I have one, which I thought was excellent. In the United States, 30 years ago, a store was hijacked. Let me see. Where is this? Greg's Get and Go, was held up, and he stole $800. Now, 30 years later, the thief has felt so bad that he put it in the mail plus interest. So he actually giving the money back after 30 years. It's been on his conscience. So he gave back $1,200, to make up for stealing it 30 years ago. And that was a bit random, but
no, it's pretty honorable.
It's good, you know. I mean, look, it's been on his mind, and he did it, and it proves that people have a conscience. So that was something a bit light.
That is
what
pretty
else
peculiar. I've got another one. In the meantime, as you're looking, a rapper in the United States called Notorious P.O.P.E. is launching a lawsuit against the new Pope.
Great.
It's like, wow, target the Catholic Church that has over 1.6 million Catholic members, one of the largest religious institutions in the world. Take them to court. Why not?
Maybe it's a trademark issue. I mean, maybe the Vatican just wasn't quick enough to trademark Pope as a name.
Well, his quote was, "I don't care how big the Pope is. My name is my rep, and I will challenge that until my last breath." So
interesting.
He's pretty determined.
Well, let's see how he gets on. I don't even wish him luck. I think he just wants to be popular.
Yeah, that's
so what's going down in Sydney in the next week? What's going on with you, Mohamed?
Well, in Sydney for the next week, I've got university as per usual, and the girls will be on next week.
Awesome.
I think politics in terms of news will not die down, especially after today.
Yeah.
I think it'll be something of it'll be in a news cycle for the next week, I think.
Excellent.
And the Liberal Party will keep hacking the Labor Party. How about that's one sort of rule we came up with. Please put your phone on silent.
Yeah, really.
I know you're a busy person. How about yourself? What are you getting up to in the week that's coming?
Well, the weekend, I always like to escape. That's what I love about Sydney. It's either the mountains or the beach or Manly or something like that.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm big on downtown city, or I'm big on just getting far away. I'm not a big suburbia guy. So and the weekend comes, I never.
Any particular places you can share to our listeners out there?
Secret
spots?
No, if it's secret, I'm not going to share them. You know,
it's a bit ironic.
Yeah.
Share your secrets.
No, not on radio, Mohammed. And then so we're back to the working week and just staying at it. And yourself?
Yeah, I think what do I have this weekend? I've got a fair bit on in terms of family, but I might be going with family as well on a picnic on a Sunday. I think there's a wedding. My friend's brother's getting married on a Friday night. Anyway, why we're revealing our life on air, Masin?
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I don't think people care. I think people care maybe to hear more about our coffee experience. That might have intrigued you. We didn't actually finish that.
You know what? We've got 3 minutes left. Let's talk about
3 minutes.
This is how we met.
This is how we met over something which looked highly maybe haram. They served us a cold drip coffee. What they do is they get ice water, drip it over freshly ground Sumatran or Ethiopian coffee. It takes 16 hours to produce this black, evil caffeine shot, which will really, if it doesn't, make your hair stand up, it'll make your hair fall out.
That was your quote. You said that, right?
Yeah.
So you're bold.
Well, I'm not too bold. It's a little thin on top.
Overstatement.
And I do shave my head. I do shave my. No, I lost it. Yeah. I do shave my head, but I felt like my hair was standing up, and I don't even have hair.
Wow.
And that's awesome. I think we can get a. I know we had a picture up.
Yeah, I put a picture up on Instagram. It was a Guatemalan, right?
Sumatran.
Sumatran was
Sumatran.
it?
Okay, so that's over there in Parramatta.
16 hours to brew.
16 hours to
overnight?
drip. It drips because it cold drips through the coffee, which is no acidity. So if you're if you're a coffee lover and you want something new, I guess maybe you can ask us on Facebook or something. I've forgotten the name of the place. It's a hippie looking joint. We used to call it the hippie joint. It's actually in a garage, but they've made this place so interesting. And it's on Wentworth Street, Parramatta. And to tell you the truth, it's over the road from my work, so we hit it up every day. But I don't hit up that cold drip shot every day. No, thank you.
No, I'm not even a big fan of coffee. I mean, I like my good coffee every now and then, but Masin kept telling me you have to try it. So I go, okay, I'll give it a shot. It It was an experience. I'll put it as that. It was. We got a good description from the waiter as well, which was good. We are running out of time, but you know what? Before we go, I want you to have a listen to this because we had Omar Regan on last year.
Awesome.
He was a stunt double for Chris Tucker. He did an awesome sort of plug for the Y Factor. We'll have a listen to that, and we'll wrap up right after this. Hold on, don't go anywhere.
Assalamu alaikum, man. This is Omar Regan, a.k.a. Chris. Listen to the Y Factor. Peace out, man. Turn it up. Hurry up, man. We got news. Assalamu alaikum.
This is Omar Regan, and you're listening to Y Factor. Assalamu alaikum.
No, this is Omar Regan, and you're listening to the Y Factor. Much love to my Aussies. Okay.
So what did you think of that,
Omar Regan? Well, I didn't know the difference. I know Chris Tucker's voice, and that was amazing. So what is he, a stunt double?
Yeah, he's a stunt double.
It's a stunt double, but he sounds just like him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty rare.
That's a brilliant impersonation.
Yeah,
he's the guy that when Chris Tucker has to jump out of a building or the Eiffel Tower, they put Omar Regan in his place.
Omar Regan jumped out of the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
I hope he had ropes on. I'm pretty sure he ended up on the show.
He had a safety harness off, but I think he said when you're about 200 meters in the air, you're still pretty scared, regardless of all these ropes around you.
I think I would be. I don't think I want to do that. Even they pay me a lot of money. I actually went to school with the guy who became the stunt double for all the new James Bond movies, and he flipped that Aston Martin. He won a record for flipping it, 7, 8 times. Yeah, I went to school with this guy. This guy was on his bike doing stunts. He was in my backyard swinging on the trees doing stunts. He was always doing stunts, and he's become one of the best stuntmen in Hollywood. Jason Bourne, the new Indiana Jones, which is amazing because he just believed he was Indiana Jones as a kid, and everyone would think that he wanted to be a stuntman, and most people play that off as this really dumb thing. Like, come on, get a real job, stop chasing that stupid dream.
Oh, that is a cool job.
And he milked it. He absolutely did excellent at it. So if you're young, you got a dream, and people are kind of playing it down, take a second thought. Go for it. And that guy did it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what the Y Factor is about, right?
Absolutely. Well, Masin, we are wrapping up. That was a great episode. Thank you very much for co-hosting today.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you, Mohamed.
Definitely. And stay tuned, guys. We're going to upload the episode and post all the links to the amazing people we spoke to today.
Get on Facebook, get active, click on the links, do something. And it's not just listen for an hour and forget about it.
Absolutely. And stay tuned next week for the Y Factor. The girls will be on next week. You were listening to the Y Factor. It was Mohamed Taha and Masin Karim on the mic. Stay tuned for Adhan al-Isha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu wa rahmatullah.